just like last time, I'm starting a couple minutes late, and also I keep wanting to do it on landscape, but apparently YouTube Live only lets you do it on portrait. So, with that being said, welcome everybody. There's no one here yet, but that's all right. Welcome to Elementary Night School. Elementary Night School. Elementary Night School is a program that I originally came up with the concept for when I was, in fact, in the third grade. Um, when I saw Mr. Arthur Fonzarelli on a television show called Happy Days, and he went to night school. And I was going to school at the time. I was in third grade. But I didn't know that there was such a thing as night school. And then when the Fonz, as he's known, eh, the Fonz, when he went to night school, I said to my mom, "Wait, mom, guess what? They have school at night. Like, oh, that's great. Hey, I'll go do that. I would rather, that sounds good. Can I go there?" And my mom was like, "No, no, no, you don't. There's no night school for children or in elementary school. They just don't have that." So, I was like, that's crazy. And then as the years went by, I was always thinking, like, there's got to be kids that are also a night owl like I was, because I've been a night owl since I was a kid, though. It wasn't like, I mean, my mom said, okay, this is so funny that I'm doing this right now, and there's like literally nobody here. Because the funny thing is like if you just make a video like by yourself and then post the video, like that's one thing if you're just talking to yourself on the video, because in your mind you can be like, well, this is because I'm just acting like I'm talking to people because it's the future people who will see the video or whatever. But instead it's like when you're on live, then you know for sure that like there's no hang on a second, I gotta figure something out. Oh, I'm gonna flip this. Oh no, that doesn't flip it good. Never mind, I don't like that. Okay, I'm not flipping it. Oh, welcome. Welcome. We have our first student for the evening. Got a few more coming in. Welcome to Elementary Night School. Elementary Night School. Elementary Night School. And what it is a program that's for the modern pre-teens, ages 8 to 10, for grades 3 through 5, who need to take their third through fifth grade curriculum at night for various reasons. They have a parole officer, and he's like, unless you can prove to me that you're accomplishing this, and they're like, but I'm on days at the factory, I can't give that up to go to baby school. So that's what this is here for. Now I see that Arshin is asking where I'm from. Well, that's a great question. I am from a lot of places, if you want to say that. I am broadcasting right now from Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles, the city of angels, the city of dreams. Um, Los Angeles is where there's a fruit fly in here because like I didn't eat my banana fast enough. That's another thing we learn in elementary school that I should still be doing, which is consume your food before it draws a fly, but that's okay. I'm not mad at him. Um, yes, I live in Los Angeles. I grew up in Michigan, which is one of the states in America. I don't know if I can see the chat good. I see that you're my number one top fan for today's class. So you get a big sticker for that, I guess. I don't have any protocols. This is the second class session. I had the first one last week, and we started talking a lot about mathematics. And I want to continue with that mathematics tonight. It's so funny because whenever I start this, like just to give you some background, if you actually are 8 to 10, now keep in mind, the whole idea of elementary night school and being for kids, I want to say up top, like, I don't want anybody to misconstrue that I'm like actually trying to create a child fan base. If you look at the description of this video, it says it is not made for children. And only the description that I made, which I'm a professional comedian. So the concept of elementary night school is actually something I came up with when I was 8 years old in elementary school. I was in third grade, like I say. I don't know if you heard this earlier, you probably didn't. But I was in third grade. I was watching Happy Days, which was a television program that was on when I was that age. And in that show, it was the fake 1950s, but it was filmed in the 1970s and 80s. And so, it was whatever they thought the 1950s was like once it had already been like 20 years since then, 25 years. Oh, hi, Taylor. How's it going? Thank you. I say hi also. Actually, I was going to introduce another of our class mascots tonight. We've got this guy right here, and he says, I love the sound he makes. Isn't he cute? Oh, I love this guy so much. So, back to you, Taylor, and also hello from me. But anyways, so on that TV show, it was the fake 1950s. It was in the 1970s and 80s. And in this program, the coolest person in the show, and really the main person in the show, which, like everything else in life, they didn't plan it that way. The character of Arthur Fonzarelli, which was his full name, Arthur Fonzarelli, but he was known as the Fonz. That character was just supposed to be another one of the characters, just like part of the town or just like, background color. But then Mr. Henry Winkler, who played Fonz, just took so much ownership of that part and played it with such humanity, even though it was really kind of a like one note character as it was written. Like the Fonz was written as basically just like a motorcycle riding guy who like all the ladies wanted him and all the guys would wish that he thought they were cool or something. And so, but the way that Mr. Winkler played it, I don't know if you're familiar with him. If you tuned in because I referenced Arthur Fonzarelli in my video description, then you are in the right place, because we do definitely appreciate the Fonz so much, because he's the inspiration for elementary night school. Elementary night school. Elementary night school. Elementary night school. And the other thing is that even though the like joke part of this is that I'm trying to bring the authentic Arthur Fonzarelli fake 1950s in the 1970s night school experience to today's modern preteen ages 8 through 10 who need to take their 3rd through 5th grade curriculum at night for various reasons, including they have a job, they have like warrants, and so if they went to the school, they would immediately be sent to Camarillo Correction Agency, and they're 9. We don't want that for them. So it's like, take your class at night. Then that way you don't have to go to chump school in the daytime for babies. But also the other thing I want to say, because I'm guessing that most people tuning in actually aren't those ages, because that's the joke part, is that kids would need to take night school because they're like an adult basically. And obviously that's kind of a joke, even though it's not 100 a joke in like this current time of America, because they are trying to change child labor laws actively and make it so that kids would have to have a job, which I feel like nah, because I started having a job when I was like, well, I started babysitting people's other kids when I was 10 for money outside the home. Like nowadays people, they get a babysitter for a 10-year-old, but at that time I was the babysitter. So I think that's another reason why I think it's so funny to talk about these 8 to 10 year olds who are like running a corporation in the daytime and they cannot go to third grade and stuff. So, um, oh, hello, Ultima. I so appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming. Hello to you and hello from this guy. This guy says,
Uh, uh, uh,
I I literally walked by him in the store with my friend Margaret, and I was like, what is this guy? Because he was just standing all by himself, like on the shelf. There was nothing like him around. There wasn't even like a sign. He didn't have a price tag or anything. He was literally just standing on the shelf. And I looked at him. I was like, you're so weird looking. What are you? And I picked him up and I was like, well, I think you squeezed him. I squeezed him. And then he made that sound where he just goes, and I was like, oh my gosh. I love you, little guy. And so we walked around that whole entire store. I didn't carry him around with me that whole time, but I had him in my head. And then after we went through the whole store, I had picked up a couple other things I bought. But then I was like, wait a second, Margaret, I gotta go over to the shelf. And she's like, what? And it had been like about 45 minutes or an hour at that point. And I go, hang on. I go right back where he was and I go, uh, I got to bring him up to the register and find out how much he is.
uh, uh,
And I can't even remember now how much he was, but unless the price was extremely outrageous, I was for sure bringing him home because I mean, like, look at him. He's like, look at him. I don't know if you can see the side view. He's got like a little crazy little tail. He's like a dinosaur. He's got these feet. Look. But then the sound he makes is this.
uh,
It's so like you would think it would be this kind of noise. Oh, I don't think I have it right in front of me right here. Oh yes, I do. I have this thing. I just got this thing yesterday. It's a bicycle horn, but like it's not very it's way more like a dog toy than a bicycle horn. It goes like this. But you'd really think that he would make more of that type noise, and this would make not this type noise, but like more of a noise that like would help you if you were on a bike trying to get people out of your way. I mean, I guess people would hear that noise, but I don't know. It's funny to me though, right? Anyways, this is my life, and this is why I feel I'm a good teacher for elementary night school because um well, it's pretty easy for me to get into the mindset of a person who is a kid. And that's not to be like, let me get kids in here. But my whole thing is, oh, Ultima, you're number 3. Yes, you are. Thank you. I don't know who's. See, here's the thing, you guys, and this is full disclosure. And this is another thing about elementary night school. Elementary night school is that it's a very like kind of safe space for like whatever comes up, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm this perfect teacher person who's like, I have info that's for you, and like, oh, I never screw up. Because I know sometimes when you're in school it's kind of like, well, in the daytime school for babies, uh sometimes teachers really be acting kind of like that they don't really personally have any foibles, or if a teacher kind of screws something up, they won't really always like admit it, sort of. They'll go like, oh, 1 minute. And then they like do something different. They try to like do some brain magic on you, like that they didn't screw up or that they didn't get something wrong that they said. Some teachers don't do that, but a lot of teachers do, especially if it's their job. They just kind of get very like an attitude of like, I'm the teacher, you're the student, so who has the power? It's me, not you, kid. And to me, that's another thing that I think is great about elementary night school, is because if a kid that was 8 to 10 or any age kid was allowed to actually say, I would like to actually take my elementary curriculums at a night school if a child was empowered, then they could. And that's why I say that's why this is the classroom that I'm doing the way I'm doing it, because I don't actually expect those kids to be in this class, but if they did, this is the kind of thing where I would treat them like, yeah, you can learn things and handle things. And you can also handle the fact that, like, oh, I might not be the most organizedly person, or I might not have our whole lesson plan all figured out ahead or as good as maybe it should, or somebody might think, or whatever. But basically, like, as we go along in this class, because I really do intend to keep this going as a class weekly and really truly following the curriculum that I experienced for myself in third through fifth grade from 1981 to 1984 was when I was in those grades. And I want to provide the information. And here's the thing, even though, yes, it is for today's modern, busy preteen, I think the thing is that every single one of us, no matter what generation of humans we're in, no matter where we're at, no matter what, when you're a kid and you're going to school, there is stuff that's also going on in your life. Your parents might be getting a divorce, or one of your parents is sick, or one of your siblings is sick, or there's money problems, or something else, all kinds of things. You could have your own sickness, or just basically you could have like just difficulty handling a lot of like stuff that gets thrown at you when you're a child in school. And so there's things of information that is really like root level info that you should have had or been like really learned it, but you didn't have the brain capacity to also learn it and also handle everything else that was going on in your life. And so then what happens is from that is that a child has a gap in their learning, right? Like, let's say it's multiplication tables, which is something that we're going to be getting into pretty soon on this show. Not tonight, but like, well, I mean, we'll start talking about it a little tonight, but it's not going to get serious on the memorization and stuff until we've had a few more class sessions. But let's say it's the multiplication tables, which are super fundamental to understanding a lot of math, and also fundamental to understanding the math that you use the most often in your daily life. It's really good to have it. And it helps you to be able to quickly analyze a situation, especially a situation that involves money or any kind of thing about counting and quantities and whatever like that. Percentages and sales at stores, and we talked about that last week, and all kinds of things. But if you aren't able for any reasons, various reasons, maybe your teacher's really mean, maybe your teacher has a lisp and you can't understand what they're saying. I sort of do. I have full disclosure. Remember what I said about full disclosure? I'm very real on that. But maybe, just whatever. Like, maybe you haven't gotten eyeglasses yet and you need them when you're a child, and you don't know to tell people that you can't see because you don't know you can't see. I mean, that's the thing about glasses, is like, how would you know how other people see things to compare that to how you see things, to know that you're having trouble seeing things? It's really hard to say. And like, when I got my glasses, it was like sophomore year of college or something. But I for sure needed my glasses way, way sooner than that, when I was a kid, but I didn't know that I couldn't see. I mean, you think things look the way they look to your eyes. You don't think you're not seeing them right. Why would you automatically assume you weren't seeing things right? That would not be trusting your own self. So, like, that could be a reason why somebody might not pick up on something in school, is because they are having trouble with their hearing or their vision or all kinds of things. Well, so then you have a gap. Now you have a gap. You don't really have your multiplication tables down. And it's not like as the years go by in school that they keep on going back and saying, hey, let's practice these multiplication tables again, right? Like it only happens when when everybody learning it together when you're little. So if you didn't actually learn it then, it, it would be on you to just be like initiative of like, okay, I'm just gonna go actually find these out and learn and make myself learn it anyways. And I mean, at that point, let's say you're like 14 or whatever. Well, at that point, that's gonna be crazy town because you're still in school. You're still got a lot of other school responsibilities that have moved forward from that point. So to take the time on your own to go back and learn all that would just be not something that a lot of young people would do. And it makes sense. It's not that they're not don't want to learn or don't try, but it's like they sort of go, well, I'm getting by without it. I'm fine. I don't need to learn it. And then the thing is that like all through that person's life, then whatever it is, it doesn't have to be multiplication tables. It could be any piece of information that's from third to fifth grade or any stage in education, but that's what I'm focusing on. And then they become an adult. Well, now they're an adult who has that same gap in their learning. But now that's embarrassing to admit that you don't learn something that you should have learned when you were 8. And people are like, "Where were you when you were 8? Why didn't you learn that?" You feel stupid like, "Oh, I'm dumb. Like I must have been too dumb to learn it." That's another thing too is because children, whether they are very very little or whether they are today's modern preteens, or if they were the childs that I was and my peers were when I was a kid, or my parents or your parents or anybody, the thing about kids is most children will internalize anything that they feel that they have failed or that they're not doing as well at as others expect them to, or they expect themselves to, or what have you. And so then what happens is they don't stop and look at it and go, oh, maybe I need to be taught this a different way. Or maybe there's this other approach that I could try. Or maybe this, and this that are things that don't have to do with them as a person. Because kids are just like, they're building their whole world inside their head as they're going. Because they were just a baby really soon right before that. So the first thing they do when they can't figure something out is they go, I must be dumb. I must be dumb. It's me. I'm stupid. I can't figure this out. And like I say, those bad internal feelings last. So that's partly why I wanted to invent elementary night school. Elementary night school. Elementary night school.
uh,
Is because I really do feel that these pieces of information and curriculum that I want to share and that are based from that basic information are helpful for people. And I talked last week about the fact that my mother is a teacher. Um, I've had a lot of excellent teachers in my life. I went to a college that was for people to learn how to be teachers, but I didn't actually go to college for that. I always have to do things a little different. That's why I wanted to do night school when I was in third grade. And that's where how we got all the way flash forward from 1981 to right now. So how long is that? 45 years? 45 years later, I'm doing it. I'm making this thing that I wanted. I'm having the show purposely at night. My friend was like, why are you doing it so late? I'm like, well, yes, this is later than most actual night schools, which usually go in the evenings, like at like 7 or something like that. But I like doing it really late at night because I think the kind of person who would have wanted to take night school in third grade, like I did, is the kind of person who it wouldn't matter how late it was because they like being up at night. They're up at night. That's just what it is. I like to call myself, and I don't know if this is trademark and I'll get in trouble, but basically it's like Art Bell for the new millennium. Because I really think that, like, there's a show that most of you may or may not know of that is a radio show. It still exists. It's called AM Coast to Coast. And it's on AM radio because, and this is a piece of information that you do actually learn in elementary school. I don't know if it's third, fourth, or fifth grade, but you definitely learn this. AM radio waves are able to travel huge distances across space, like basically Earth, because of the like curvature of the Earth and how those waves work. And so in the daytime, it doesn't work that way because the sun is interfering with it. The actual radiation of the sun coming down onto the earth does something, and I don't know what it is, and they probably told us then, but I don't really know. But it does something that causes those AM radio waves to not be able to bounce across as far as they can go at night. But at night, they can transmit all really, really far from just one place. And so, for example, for years and years and years, and possibly still now, I'm not sure, there's an AM radio station in Nashville, Tennessee. And that radio station broadcasts the Grand Ole Opry, which is a country music venue. And also, there's a radio program that has been presented from that place since like the 19, I think, 30s or something. So we're coming up on about 100 years of that. Well, that radio station, when I was living in Michigan, which is quite far from Nashville, Tennessee, it's very, very far. If you look on a map, it's like Nashville, Tennessee is really getting very far to the south, and Michigan, where I was at, is quite northerly from there. But once it got dark outside after a certain time at night, I could turn on my AM radio and tune it into that station, and I would be able to hear it. I could hear that radio station, and it was broadcasting from an actual physical tower in Nashville, Tennessee, and I was hearing it loud as clear in Michigan. But then as the sun started to rise, the radio station would start to crackle and make a lot of noise and like, and then after the sun was up, all you would hear on that particular radio dial tuner would just be like just like the like staticky sound or like a buzzing sound, and that's it. But at night, phew, she came back alive. And that's how Art Bell used to have his show on AM radio station. So it was called AM Coast to Coast because he could broadcast it from anywhere in the country, and people from all over the country could call in and talk to him. And his program, which again I say it still exists, but he is no longer living on Earth. Um, his body is somewhere on Earth, but he's no longer living inside of it. And so someone else hosts it now. But for many, many years, he was the host. And it was always really interesting because it was always a very show at nighttime because that's when that radio station comes in the best. And so it would be people who were awake at nighttime that would be calling in. It would be a lot of people who drove trucks, who drove long haul trucks that go across the country and carry goods. And so those guys are always driving at night a lot of the time because there's less traffic. They can get further faster because they don't have to fight with traffic as much. And also because a lot of times they pick up their load in the afternoon and then it has to be somewhere in the morning. So they have to drive at night. So they're out at night and they're driving around so they see the sky. And then other people who would be calling in would be other people who had reasons that they were like around at night. Maybe they just like to. Maybe they're people who work third shift, um, or second shift, even because when you work second shift, your sleep schedule is really kind of disturbed by when their hours of work are. Second shift can be different at different jobs, but a lot of times, second shift means the shift that starts at 3 p.m. and goes until 11 p.m. And if you think about it, that is a kind of a awkward shift to work for your job, because if it starts at 3 p.m., there's not a lot you can do during the day before work starts. And then if you get out at 11 p.m., there's not a lot you can do with other people and stuff when you get off work. So I'm just saying that people who were out and about at night, or who had a tendency to be awake at night, and especially people who were outside looking at the world, the natural world, and the sky at night, and of course, as you know, you guys are smart enough now that you're in at least third grade and you're at least 8 years old, modern preteens, here getting the authentic Arthur Fonzarelli fake 1950s and the 1970s night school experience. You guys know that at night is when you can see more things in the sky for the same reason as the sun. The sun, I mean, the same things you see in the sky at night are the same things that are always there, even in the day. But your eyeballs cannot perceive those things in the daytime because the light of the sun causes them to be obscured. Because the light of the sun is coming through and it's lighting up the sky and the atmosphere around above where you're at when the sun is shining. So that is lit. So then you can't really see, your eye just can't pick out the stars and stuff from that, because it's all just like more light colored or blue colored, like the sky or whatever. So yeah, so Art Bell's show would always be a lot of people calling in and talking about things that were a little bit like metaphysical. And if you guys are in third through fifth grade, I don't really expect you to know what the word metaphysical means, but we always can learn. And so I'm going to explain it really now. And if you're an adult and you do want to know what it means, please correct me in the chat if I am screwing up. But my understanding of what metaphysical means is that it's like things, ideas, and concepts and experiences which are not explainable just by the purely physical explanation. These are things which occur and are experienced in the physical realm, but however, are not necessarily physical phenomena. And so it would be really interesting discussions with people who had a lot of really interesting ideas. And so that's why I feel like elementary night school is a good sort of like I say, Art Bell for the new millennium, because I do really want to talk to people who are up at night, because those are my people. I've always been a night person. Shout out in the chat if that's you. I'm guessing it is because you're on here right now. I know there's only one person in the chat. I'm not sure if it is Ultima, Lord Cantabrian. I'm not saying that right. The crazy thing is that if you go back and watch these videos later of a live, unless a person has like that special kind of technology that I don't actually know and can put the chat flow on the screen for the later recordings, then these comments in the chat are just me answering chats, but a person can't see them. And I don't at this time yet know how to do that. Maybe eventually, because elementary night school is really about learning. And so I do want to really learn more about how to make these videos, helpful, effective, and, as good quality as I can. I mean, I'm not, the thing is that the other part of it for me is that I'm really trying to be consistently with myself and with the world more. And so to consistently go ahead and make these videos and do these classrooms, even if I feel like I am like my world is like total chaos energy or whatever, and things are like tore up in my room, and like I really needed to like it's not perfect, and like look, I'm just chitter chattering right now. I haven't really even gotten into the math lesson and it's been a few minutes, but you know what? I talked about other things that are interesting to learn about. And to me, that's the big difference to have elementary night school than having elementary school in the daytime, because elementary school in the daytime, they don't really go in these different branches of thinking. It's really much more programmed. And I think that's the thing that I think I was actually responding to when I first heard about night school from the Fonz when he went to night school, was the fact that, oh, yeah, at night is when people are less rigid in their expectations, I guess. And I think I really was kind of thinking that, like, oh, yeah, because another thing too is that I had ADHD. I mean, I have ADHD, but